baby, it's time to ride the fuck. What is that? What is that? It's the eponymous hero, Bernie, from Bernie and the Tower of the... This mother just shit my hand. I had a little falling out with Bernie. But Bernie is a brand new Atari 7800 game that's only available in the Atari VCS right now because of the Atari Age logjam and other junk going on. But is this game good? We've heard about it for years. 2022 it started. It's won some homebrew awards. And now it's on the VCS for only $8.99 American. We're going to check out Bernie, a potential AAA Atari 7800 game if there is such a thing, coming up next.
Since the beginning of time, there's only been one website with the Bobalons to claim every game reviewed when it came to the Pro System, and that's Atari7800forever.com.
But now it's time to get on that YouTube trip, babies. And who am I? I'm Funkmaster V, musician, ghost hunter, hat flipper, pro wrestler, comedian, actor, filmmaker, and I'm going to take you on a whirlwind tour of all things cool about Atari and the Atari 7800 with a podcast, news, even new crap. Baby, are you ready to get your groove on? Because it's about to get funky up in here.
Muddyfunster is back with another deviation, and he's brought us a new mascot, Bernie, who is a slug. And there's some problems with being a slug and a hero of a video game, and we'll dive into that here in a moment. If you've been around the Atari scene for any length of time, you probably have heard of Bernie and the Tower of Doom. And what's strange is Muddyfunster did a game called Bernie and the Cubic Conundrum, and he hasn't released that yet, but this is kind of like the sequel, and it's a big deviation from the original Cubert-like game. This is more an action puzzle platformer, which there are quite a bit of those on the system, like Millie and Molly, and Night Guy 1, Night Guy 2, Impossible Mission, Uzi the Goo. This is one of those guys, but it's in a Super Mario World paint job. It's a story-based game, too. It's not just a puzzle game. And you are sent to this land where Bernie and his wife, the attractive slug that he's married to, I don't know, I'm not attracted to animals or anything, but I'm told she was one of the better slugs to pick. They're having tea because Muddyfunster's weird. He's from England, they don't know that Diet Coke is superior to tea. And the story starts. Evil is afoot. There is a robot who's using towers to send out transmissions from these transmitters. It's got everybody going crazy, and they're not acting like themselves, and they're getting paranoid and weird. I think it's the 24-hour news cycle. Hello, political joke. But here's the problem with Bernie. I'm going to get into the problem with Bernie. Hold on a second. Let me stop that. Let me praise the game first. First of all, I think nobody does dialogue like Muddyfunster in the Atari 7800 universe. Ricky and Vicky is really close, but Muddy has a good dry sense of humor, and it gets to the point, and it's strange. There's like these characters only have like 5 or 6 lines of dialogue, but something inside of me, I care about them. I want them to prosper. So I think the dialogue is funny, and of course it's just text. There's no voice acting or anything in a game like this, but it gives the characters a lot of depth. Second best thing about this game is the overworld map. I love the overworld map. At the end of the day, this is just a puzzle game, but the overworld map makes it look like we're about to play something really exciting and action-oriented, and it gives the world a lot of character, The graphics are good. It gets better as it goes along. The first tower's graphics are a little campy and kind of gross for my taste, but it seems like the towers and the levels in the towers, the graphics improves as it goes, and the sound is really, really good. The only problem I have with the audio department is I kind of feel like it keeps doing the same loop, and this is kind of a long game. There are tons of towers to go defeat, and the loop is kind of the same, even though the overworld map and going into the tower, there's all sorts of different types of musical tracks. Also, the sound effects are good for the most part, but I wish when you pick something up, there was like a bloop. I've never wanted a bloop more in my life than in this game. But all those are pretty positive attributes about the game. The game also plays well, meaning it's very well crafted. If you move up, he only goes as far as you push up. There's not a lot of weird collision detection problems, or there's not a lot of sloppiness with Bernie being out just a fraction too far one way and getting hit by a guy. It seems like it's all lines up really good, and that's better for the game player. My biggest problem with the game is the game itself. Now, there's nothing wrong with the game, but it feels like we should be doing karate kicks and moonsaults and flying across the screen with a Liu Kang kick. But our hero is a slug, as brave as he is, as adorable as he is. He looks like he's smoking a J half the time. His eyes, he's got this little sheepish grin, and his eyes are kind of like, hey man, what's up? He's a cool cat. He's a real cool cat, but he's a slug. He moves up, he moves down, he moves left, and he moves right. He can climb a ladder, which isn't that exciting in a video game, but for a slug, it's pretty impressive. And he can fall the length of the screen and not get injured. He does take a few seconds to recombobulate himself because he is a gelatinous mass with no ass, which is what I'm turning into. But he is not a pansy like Mario from Donkey Kong, or Bounty Bob for that matter. He can take a little spill. The logic of the game doesn't make a lot of sense. You've got to absorb each level's stars, and that way you can climb the next ladder to get to the next part of the tower, and then you got more stars to collect, and when you collect them, you go to the next part. None of that makes sense, but we're in a video game, and we're not going to get too worried about it. Why would we hire a slug anyway? We'd have to hire somebody with a machine gun. Bernie doesn't do anything. The only thing he does, let me put this back, he doesn't punch, he doesn't spit acid, he doesn't have a gun, he doesn't sling crystals like Bentley Bear, he doesn't do somersaults, he has no special moves, he doesn't do the spinning pile driver, but he can dry hump the ground. That's pretty good. I think that's what he's doing. When you hit the left button, he dry humps the ground, and that absorbs the star out of the Jello floor cube. He can also use some items, like some items in the game, like switches. He can use, I think there's a pear. I don't know if it's a pear or if it's like a strongman potion, but then if he consumes the strongman potion, he can push blocks. There's a few things like that he picks up along the way that he can use to his own benefit. One caveat I wish, there's parts of the game where you have to collect pieces of cheese and hot ash and things like that, and you never know how much you have. I wish that there was an indicator that would signify what you had on the bottom of the menu. It doesn't have that. You'll see what I'm talking about when you dive into the game. Now, puzzle platformers are okay, but when you're a slug who has no defenses, it's very strange. You can really get yourself in a lot of bad situations early. And the game is tough. It's not easy because you are controlling a slug. You're not controlling James Bond. So the gameplay is trying to figure out how can this pacifist, half-high, baked slug with a good personality and a lot of friends, how can he brave the dangers of the world with no real kung fu ability? The enemies in the game are reminiscent of Impossible Mission robots. They all kind of have their own behavior. And you have to kind of take that into account when you're clearing off a puzzle.
One of the coolest things about Bernie and the Tower of Doom is the fact that each board is a lot different than the one previous. It builds nicely. There's a nice ramp up of difficulty, and one level can inform you on the next. One is like a race. One is a true puzzler. Tower 4-1 is a lot like Burger Time, because that's when the game introduces these characters that kind of move autonomously, or random. And when you have no way to defend yourself, that makes it tricky. But that could be more fun.
It's very similar to Ricky and Vicky. I feel like a lot of times I'm like, okay, I remember something like this in Ricky and Vicky. But you cannot deny the level ingenuity. Muddy did a great job. There's also, on this world map, this is what I love too, sometimes you can deviate off the path and talk to people you might miss, and they give you codes. And the codes help you get through this game, because this game is tough. You have a certain amount of attempts to clear a tower, and if you die on a screen, it goes back to that screen until you get to the point to where you've exhausted all of your tries, and you got to go back. The game is so tough, the left button is the dry hump button, and the right button is I give up. Have you ever heard of that before? Or there's just a surrender white flag button? You have it on Bernie. And the game reminded me of my favorite Atari game of all time, which is Tower Toppler. You're kind of a cute animal climbing towers to save the world. Well, lo and behold, I think after level 4, or Tower 4, Muddy lets it fly that Tower Toppler was an influence, and that gets mega cool points from Funkmaster V. Thank you, Muddyfunster. Thank you, brother. I really appreciate the shout out to Tower Toppler. That is one of the best games for the system, especially when you had the system back in the 80s and there wasn't a lot of adventure games to horse around with. So I'm going to give you some Brunswick stew. I think that's something you British people like. There's no time limit, which I think is a good thing, because you got to, it's nice to sit there and be able to have some time to try to figure out how to go through the puzzle. But I think it hurts replayability a little bit. Like some people would probably like to do a speed run score, and that's not going to be able to be done the way that it is. Real quick, I want you guys to notice I had a little Easter egg here. In the background. I wonder how many people picked up on it. I have Tower Toppler running in the background because this is a spiritual successor to Tower Toppler in a way. And again, that means a lot to me. So, graphics, very good. Color schemes are a little gross sometimes, but I like it. Sound is almost excellent. They use the same background loop over and over again, which is fine. Gameplay is okay. It's good. I do feel like when I play this game, I wish there was more action. I know that's not what this game is, but the trappings of everything else and the charm and the whole shebang makes me want to jump on some Koopa Troopers' backs or laser some people with some guns. Originality, this game's pretty derivative of a lot of other games, but again, the dialogue and the charm makes this game different than anything else on the Atari 7800. Value is almost off the charts because this game is long, it's difficult, it's going to take you a long time to win the day. Reviewers tilt the charm, the homage to Tower Toppler, the dialogue, everything is just wonderful. So at the end of the day, this game is teetering on either a 4.0 or a 4.5, which a 4 is very good and 4.5 is excellent. And in my soul of souls, I'm leaning more towards the 4. However, with all the accoutrements, all the little extra splashes, the codes, the secret conversations, and everything else, I'm going to go with 4.5, and I'm going to forgive Bernie for pissing on my hand. This is an exciting game, and because of the Atari logjam that exists right now, where the Atari Age logjam, I should say, where there's no new production, this is a great way to play this game for cheap. And also, during the period where we're waiting for iRobot, what is happening with that? Bernie, again, saves the day in another way by giving us something to play the VCS. And get excited, it's not just a small indie game that's a little fun. This is if you want to call a AAA game, this is the first AAA game for a 7800 in a long time. Congratulations to Muddyfunster. Excellent game, and this is where it ranks on the VCS library. Pretty damn high. Not as good as his other game, EXO, but we'll forgive him with God's love. All right, little caveat here. Little advertisement. May 10th and 11th, I'll be at Shuddercon in Chattanooga. I'll be repping all the big and funky production stuff. You can buy some movies. Ask me how you can be a producer of our next film showdown in Secret City, which everybody's getting really excited for, and we're filming right now. On the 10th, I'll be doing a class, how you can get in the movie business, or how you can break in, starting at 5:30 p.m. Eastern. Come see me this weekend, or not this weekend, but the next one. We're going to have a good time, baby. And as always, believe in the funk.